Hello everyone, it's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. Several months ago, someone on our Discord channel recommended to me this video from Technology Connections. It's a channel where this guy talks about various technological issues. And one of the things he noticed was talking about how the brake lights work on certain EVs. His example was the Hyundai Ioniq, because I think that was the one he was familiar with. But if those of you guys who drive EVs now know what one pedal driving is, many EVs have this, and it's implemented to a better or worse extent on others. And Tesla is the one that started it early. And the one pedal driving on Teslas and some EVs is so good that you almost never have to touch the brakes. And it's to the point that some Teslas, I think, have had their rotors rust a little bit from having the brakes not used because the one pedal driving is so effective. So for those of you guys that are not familiar, one pedal driving is when you depress the accelerator, then it turns on the electric motors. But when you release the accelerator pedal, it actually turns the regen on. Instead of like on a gas car, when you let go of the gas, it's just coasting. On an EV, when you let go of the accelerator, it can actually be set to regen, and there's different settings. You can make it regen pretty aggressively. And when it regens pretty aggressively, the car slows down very fast. And the problem is that in gas cars, the brake light, the center brake light comes on when you depress the brake pedal. And this is very important from a safety perspective because it lets the people behind you know that you're going to slow down so they don't hit you in the back. And you guys remember, like in the 80s or 90s, I think they implemented the center brake light. Before, there used to not be a center brake light. And the center brake light has been very effective in preventing rear end accidents. So what happens in the Hyundai Ioniq and a couple of other vehicles is that even when there's aggressive regen, the brake lights don't come on until your foot is completely off the pedal, and then the brake lights turn on, or if you press the brakes. And so you can have a situation where the car is decelerating pretty quickly, fast enough that it would dislodge things that are on your dashboard and stuff. So pretty aggressive deceleration, and the brake lights still don't come on. And so that's a major safety issue, and Consumer Reports picked that up, and they tested several cars, mostly from Genesis, Hyundai, and Kia. Now, these three car companies are essentially the same car company. Hyundai Genesis is the kind of upmarket brand of Hyundai, just like Acura is the upmarket brand of Honda, and the Lexus, the upmarket brand of Toyota. And then Kia and Hyundai are essentially the same company. And then I guess Mercedes-Benz, which is an unrelated company, had the same issue. And what they noticed is that they, even in settings of aggressive deceleration, the brake lights don't turn on. And that is a major safety problem. And Hyundai finally realized this, and I think a few months after they showed this, they decided to do an update where they recalled their cars. They unfortunately cannot do over-the-air updates, so you have to take the cars into a dealership, and they would reprogram the vehicles so that the brake lights come on when there's a certain amount of deceleration. So I did not know how Aptera planned on doing handling this. This is a kind of very important safety feature, and luckily, we have Chris McCann, who is quite active on our Discord channel. And thanks, Chris, for showing up on our Discord channel and answering our questions. Someone mentioned this on the Discord channel, and Chris did say, we will be sure to have the brake lights on when decelerating at a similar rate to braking. No question. Thanks for the article. And then he also verified with a powertrain engineer that the requirement is in there. And so Aptera is on top of this. That's good to know. So they won't have the same problems that Hyundai and Kia and Genesis and Mercedes-Benz were having, because they just didn't think through how to deal with one pedal driving and the brake lights. And it's really weird because the laws haven't caught up with it either. If you look at US federal law, the brake light activation is not linked to a certain rate of deceleration. It's just meant to be like when you press the brakes. But again, with EVs, you can decelerate very aggressively without ever touching the brake pedal. So that law and that requirement needs to be updated for the EV, the new EVs. And the EU has a similar problem as well. And if you want to, you can watch the entire 30-minute episode on this technology connections. He goes over all the issues very, very well. But the good news for us is Aptera is aware, and they will be making it so that one pedal driving does activate the brakes and lets the people behind you know. Now, of course, you don't want the brakes activating too much, because then you have a false positive, and then the people behind you start ignoring your brake lights because it's too much. So it needs to be done correctly. So I think it's best if it's linked to a certain rate of deceleration, and then the brake lights come on when it's decelerating at a certain rate that would be equivalent to touching the brakes and applying the brakes. All right. Well, let me know what your thoughts are about this. Do you think it's a big deal or not? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys.